Hello, YouTube. This is Bub's Comics coming at you with comic haul and a miscellaneous haul. So not just comics in this one. So I hope you enjoy it, but closely related. So first off, we're going to start off with a bang. We're going to throw a little CGC slab up here. It's a 9.6 World of Wood, number 2 of 4. Very happy to have this book. This is some great Wally Wood art. So Wally Wood did the pencil work on this, and Dave Stevens did the ink. And I just love the subject matter on this one. He's got, you see, it's got some aliens background. I like the trade dress on it. I think it's very cool that it works in with the rest. And look at her. Look at that mom or whatever. Just looking amazing. And so the deal here is, it would appear, is that that little fella, he kind of reminds me of kind of a Lost in Space kid, is bringing home a dinosaur, and the mom's like, nope, get that out of my house. So I just think it's great. I think it's very cute, classic looking. And look at those shoes she's wearing. Very cool. And that outfit is amazing. So there you go. One of my favorite Wally Wood covers, actually. And to have Dave Stevens doing the ink work on this, you just can't go wrong with it. And in addition to that, the back has a painted cover by Wally Wood as well. And I think this is really funny too. So you got the deep sea diver coming down there, or the scuba diver, whatever he is. And then you've got the frog man in a frog suit, which I might just be easily entertained, but I think that's great. And it looks like he's coming out of some sort of spaceship too, or underwater ship or something. And the guy, you see the expression on his face is just in shock, and he's to find the frog man in the frog suit. I think it's just freaking awesome. I just love it. So there you go, World of Wood, number 2 of 4. Very, very awesome book. I just love it. I think it's so beautiful. That's one of the best drawn women I've ever seen on a comic book. That is amazing. Just amazing. So, anyway, there you go. World of Wood 204. I wanted to get the whole set. I've been toying with getting the whole set, even though I've already got this one slabbed. I really didn't want a slabbed copy, but when this one came up, it was roughly the same price as the regular copy of a high grade regular copy. So at a 9.6, you know what? I'll just take it and put it in my old CGC case pile that I've been collecting, and then when I get up enough for a submission, I might send them in and get them reholdered. So that's kind of the idea on that. So there you go, World of Wood by Wally Wood and Dave Stevens, 2 masters. Take that down. Next, I've got a gift from my wife, and this was the Overstreet comic book price guide. Look at how big that is. My goodness. Even if you don't think that Overstreet has the most accurate pricing, which it does not, these are still good books to pick up. They only come out once a year, and they're like $20 to $30 depending on when and how you pick them up. I got this one on Amazon. I think she paid like 21 bucks for it, so it was a good deal. It's got lots of good articles and stuff on shops and information in it. It's really quite jam-packed with good comic fun. And then, of course, there's the price guide, which is the bulk of the book. And no matter what you think about the price guide, it does have a place, and a lot of dealers use them. So if you're going to shows like I am, especially small conventions or even some of the big conventions, a lot of dealers still use the comic book price guide. And it's important to know, especially when you're selling books, and especially when you're selling books to like a shop or anything like that, it's important to know what other people think the book is worth. There's a lot of books in here that are overpriced, if you will. And then there's a lot of books that are underpriced. Well, if you go to a dealer and the dealer has a bunch of books that are overpriced, and you see that they're using a price guide, that means there's a large section of his books are probably also going to be underpriced, and you should dig for those. So owning a comic book price guide is good because it helps you. If there's certain books you're looking for, you can look them up in this book and then find out, okay, well, if I see a dealer that's using a price guide, I know that I should be able to get this book relatively cheap. And if there's other books you're looking for that are extra high in the price guide, then you know not to be discouraged when you see one of those books that are just ridiculously priced. You're like, oh, this guy has nothing, he doesn't know what he's doing. That's not necessarily the case. There should be some books in there that you are happy with the price of. So thank you to my wife for picking this up. She just got it for me because I kind of had it in the Amazon shopping cart, but I didn't pull the trigger on it, and then she went in there and bought it. So there you go. So thanks to her for that. Next we got a modern book. Actually, I know I give Art Germ a lot of flack for his digital art or whatever that I just don't care for, but every now and then he gets it right, and this is one of those times. Love this Catwoman, think it's great. I still think she's a little dead behind the eyes, but for the most part it's pretty good, and I think her having the mask on helps a little bit. So really like that. That's a very, very cool rendition of her. It reminds me of the Supergirl that he did, and I have that one too. So when he gets it right, I'm a buyer. Just most of the time, I think they're very wooden looking, but that's a cover that, especially I guess if you're an Art Germ fan, that's going to be something you're really after. So really love that. Thank you for dealing with me when I say I don't like an artist and I pick up an artist. It doesn't make me a hypocrite. It just means that there's certain books I like from artists and certain books I don't, and some artists tend to get it wrong often for me, and then sometimes I get it right. So there you go. Next we have an older one, Witchblade Tomb Raider 1/2 from Top Cow. It's a special. It's the gold foil edition. Look at that. Look at that shining. Yeah, that is really something. It's even got a little shiny thing in the corner. It's got a COA. It is signed by Michael Turner here at the top, which is funny because it's not a Michael Turner cover. So I think there's 3 or 4 copies of this book, like covers of this book. I have the Michael Turner cover signed by Michael Turner, but I guess he signed all the covers, no matter what, for Wizards. So I have the Michael Turner one, so I got this one, which I think is a very good cover, and it's also signed by Michael Turner, so it's pretty cool. So I'll hold on to that. We're going to switch gears just a little bit. I don't think you guys have seen a key in this haul yet, so we'll throw one of those at you. Here is King Size Annual Hulk #1. Awesome Steranko cover. Picked this one up for too cheap. The cover is almost detached, man. It's holding on by like this much. And if any of you know, these square bounds can be pretty bad for that. Think Giant Size X-Men 1 if you've got one of those. They really do shift a lot, and it's hard to keep the covers on them. So anyway, gonna be seeing Steranko in a few weeks. I'm gonna get this signed by him. And this is my big Steranko run. So I'm gonna see him first week of September or so. And I'm going to be bringing almost every book that I have by him, plus a couple of other items that I had that he's done, and I'm going to get them all signed. Now, he's expensive. I think he's $25 or $30 for a signature, last I recall. And his lines are usually pretty short. Think Neil Adams. So when you go to like Neil Adams at a show, his line's always short because his prices are so high. Steranko is the second highest signature I've ever paid for after Neil Adams. So, you know, keep that in mind when you're going after Steranko SIGs, that they are very expensive, and also keep that in mind when you're buying stuff that's already signed by Steranko, especially if it's in a yellow label. And someone paid, you know, like $80 just for the slab and the signature and the label. So, you know, keep that in mind. But anyway, I'm going to get this signed along with a bunch of other stuff. So hopefully soon we'll have a nice big Steranko signature haul. Can't wait for that. Next up, we have...
Hello, I'm Mr. Ed.
Mr. Ed, the Talking Horse. This is 4-color, $12.95. And this is not the money book for Mr. Ed, which is surprising to me. So the money book for Mr. Ed is really Mr. Ed #1. And that book seems to go for a lot. It's also put out by Dell. And it was a small series of maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6. I'm not quite sure. I forget. comics put out by Dell starring Mr. Ed. This was after the TV show was already obviously in production, because it has this photo covers and the other ones do as well. However, prior to that coming out, Dell published this one. And if you look to a lot of the four colors, they'll often have a lot of the first appearances of books that they later did a small run of. So this book actually predates, it's dated March, May, and I believe the other one is November of the same year. So 1962, if I'm not mistaken. So this is actually the first appearance of Mr. Ed in comics, but it doesn't get any of the attention that Mr. Ed #1 gets, and I think the reason is because the other one says Mr. Ed #1. So it's one of those where it's not a highly sought after character. I loved Mr. Ed. It's another one of those great shows I grew up with, and I still watch whenever I get a chance to, and I just love it. And Wilbur Post and Mr. Ed and Carol the wife. Oh man, I had a crush on her when I was a kid. So there you go. So Ed talks his way to the state fair to meet a cute little filly. And the interior is pretty well drawn. I actually like it quite a bit. So I might pick up the whole run of this. This book cost me like $5. I mean, you get a first appearance of one of your favorite characters as a kid. It's $5, not a big deal. And the #1 will run you somewhere $15-20 at a reasonable condition. I've seen it at shows, and the other Mr. Ed books at shows as well. And sometimes they're wanting like $40 or $50 per book. So, you know, it's all about condition. It technically would be Silver Age, right? So it's all about condition when it comes to the Silver Age. And some of these Dell books command more than others. So there you go. Mr. Ed, the Talking Horse, Dell 4-color, $12.95. First appearance of Mr. Ed in comics. But then we'll show this. And this is Liberty. It's a magazine. So it's Liberty Magazine. September 18th, 1937. And you say, Bub, what is the significance of this book? I just don't get it. What are you trying to pull here? That's not a comic book. And you're right, it's not a comic book. It doesn't even fit in a magazine-sized bag. It's a little taller than that, which is funny because the bag line or the board line lines up pretty well with some of that discoloration at the top. So I'm guessing somebody else had a similar problem bagging this one. So Liberty #5, 1937. So this predates Superman, of course. A very, very old book. It's just a magazine, but it has a first appearance in it. And let me get to that. So, of course, this would not be a first comics appearance, but this would be a first appearance in any other media. So, let me get this open for you, and we'll take a look. Very, very cool. It's a rough condition book. 1937. You get what you pay for. Now, there is a higher condition book of this available, but I didn't pick it up. I didn't want to spend because the extra money. I'm not going to slab it or anything because what's important about it's on the inside. So look at this. And it says The Talking Horse by Walter Brooks. This is the first published work of Mr. Ed. So this is the first appearance of Mr. Ed in any kind of published work. There's a nice up-close picture of Mr. Ed and Wilbur as he was originally drawn and intended. So it's illustrated by Tony Sarge. And it's Mr. Ed, the Talking Horse. Page 38 and 39, a 2-page spread, and that's all he gets. And this is the first ever appearance of Mr. Ed. And when this is obviously 1937, that's long, long before the TV show came out. So he appeared in this magazine and a couple of other magazines after this by that author, Walter Brooks. And then after that, you know, was approached, of course, for a TV show, like anything else. So if you can imagine the hype that happens now when something gets announced for a TV show, and people are like, oh man, what's the first appearance? What's the first appearance? And everybody's running. Could you imagine if all that happened today and there's going to be a Mr. Ed TV show and everyone said, oh wow, Mr. Ed, what's his first appearance? Of course, the comics wouldn't have come out yet, so maybe they'd have found it here in the magazine, and this would be some kind of hot spec book right now. So this book, of course, goes for a little bit of money just because it's purely old. If you were to find it out in the wild, just remember the little lady on the bicycle. Pretty cool there. So there you go, Mr. Ed's first appearance, and we'll close out with another key. Here is Marvel graphic novel number 5, God Loves, Man Kills. I was looking for our first appearance, actually I think this is a first appearance of William Stryker. So we got a couple of first appearances in this run. But it is also just a kind of famous book, kind of a big deal book for Claremont. So pretty cool, and I was looking for our first print of this, but I didn't end up getting one. I ended up getting this 8th print because the seller mislisted the item. So I put it up there, it said first print, I bid on it, I won it at a very low price, and my guess is the reason that I wanted it at such a low price is because other people who were maybe paying more attention were able to determine in some way off the cover, maybe the barcode or something, that this was not a first print. So they didn't bid on it. So, but I was still very happy to get it for the price that I did, and it's in the collection, and the seller took a bunch off the price, so definitely worth keeping. And I'll still be on the hunt for our first print, but until then, this one will hold me over. So there you go. That's my quick little haul. I hope you all enjoyed that, and in a very, very, very rare occurrence, we're going to throw some art germ up for the final scene there. So thank you all. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll catch you. We'll catch you on the next one. Look, art germ. He already knows. He doesn't want to be there. So we'll catch you on the next one. When you get done watching this video and other videos like it, read a comic. Thanks. Bye.